During a recent interview with Megyn Kelly, Tara Reade discusses what she would like Joe Biden to do. Watch.
Let's talk about what he said, because he went on TV last Friday and said, first of all, it never happened. Period, end of report. This did not happen. He did say that in his view, accusers should start off with the presumption that they're telling the truth. Do you think he's afforded you that presumption?
No. I mean, it's been stunning, actually, how some of his surrogates with the blue checks, that are his surrogates, have been saying really horrible things about me and to me on social media. He hasn't himself, but there's a measure of hypocrisy with the campaign saying it's safe. It's not been safe. All my social media has been hacked. All my personal information has been dragged through. Every person that maybe has a gripe against me, an ex-boyfriend or an ex-landlord or whatever it is, has been able to have a platform rather than me. Talking about things that have nothing to do with 1993, like even the whole thing with being called a Russian agent, that in particular, that incites people. People actually, I got a death threat from that because they thought I was being a traitor to America. And I mean, these are serious things. And his campaign is taking this position that they want all women to be able to speak safely. I have not experienced that.
If he's watching this, what do you want to say to him?
I want to say, you and I were there, Joe Biden. Please step forward and be held accountable. You should not be running on character for the President of the United States.
You want him to withdraw?
I wish he would. But he won't, but I wish he would. That's how I feel emotionally.
Do you want an apology?
I think it's a little late.
So it's important to point out here that this is not the first on-camera interview that Tara Reade has had. It's being reported that way in many outlets simply because I guess Megyn Kelly is a more known quantity than the other places that Tara Reade has been on. But she spoke to The Hill Rising, and also was on Democracy Now!, two fantastic shows that were covering this story early on before a lot of other outlets started to do so. So just, I think it's important to note that because a lot of people will see Megyn Kelly and think, oh, she used to work for Fox News. She's a conservative. Of course, she wants to prop this up. But the reality is, in addition to this not being the first on-camera interview, this interview was produced by Rich McHugh, who is a former NBC News producer who worked with Ronan Farrow on the Harvey Weinstein story. So this is not, about partisanship. This is about telling Tara Reade's story. For the longest time, she was being ignored by the press. Finally, this story is getting the recognition that it deserves. Now, I want to share some other pieces of information here because, look, we can have a discussion about Trump. Trump is obviously a horrible president. Everybody with half a brain should want Donald Trump to get out. But the point here is that Joe Biden is not the person to do it. He is a horrible candidate with way too many risks. I mean, how many ways can we really communicate this? Washington Post analysis: in a new poll, independents are more likely to believe Reade than Biden. So independents who are very important voters. Many independents are more left-wing than they are reported as in the media. A lot of independents are people that back Bernie Sanders. And I would say even more, about 40% of the country doesn't normally vote. And they don't normally vote because they see two parties not representing their interests. So in addition to Joe Biden having this accusation against him, he also has a history of working with corporations, a 40-year record of being on the wrong side of issues, of being for trade deals, of being for bank deregulation, of being against LGBTQ rights. I mean, you can go down the list. Joe Biden has a horrible record, has a very status quo, boring platform that doesn't actually fight for anything. No Medicare for all, no canceling student debt, no free public college, no Green New Deal. He is offering nothing to people. He is a historically terrible candidate, even worse than Hillary Clinton. I mean, when you look at, I don't have this data in front of me, but when you look at his enthusiasm compared to what Hillary Clinton had, even Hillary Clinton had higher enthusiasm numbers than Joe Biden currently does. And in case you forgot, she lost. More info here. Speaking about young voters, from NBC News, clear warning signs. Focus group shows lack of enthusiasm for Biden among the young. So this is incredibly important because when you're talking about a general election, what matters so much for Democrats is turnout. If turnout is high, Democrats usually win. So in 2018, for example, the midterms, turnout was high across the board. for both Republicans and Democrats. Democrats won more seats. More people lean Democrat if they are encouraged to come out and vote. So this is why Bernie Sanders was an incredible candidate in his ability to be able to bring out a lot of people that don't normally vote. He spoke to voters under 45. He lost states in big numbers to Joe Biden that he still won with voters under 45. So, and the reason why Bernie would have been a stronger candidate is because you still have the reliable Democratic voter come out regardless of the candidate in November. So people over 45, they're not going to stay home because of Bernie Sanders. They're still going to come out and vote for Bernie over Donald Trump. But voters under 45, they need to feel engaged and listened to and have have a reason to come out and vote for you, because a lot of young voters right now are going through some serious hard times. I mean, student debt, lack of job opportunities, low wages, cost of housing, cost of healthcare. I mean, there are endless issues that people under 45 deal with that are simply not being addressed by Joe Biden. So Bernie Sanders spoke to those people. He would have gotten those people out in November. Joe Biden, he's not speaking to young voters. And because of Bernie's ability to still bring out the reliable Democratic voter over 45, combining that with the younger vote, that's what makes a strong Democratic candidate. Joe Biden doesn't have that. One more piece here. Speaking about favorabilities. So, opinion of Joe Biden. This is a recent poll, but there's so much on this. This is a Daily Kos poll. Daily Kos is a liberal site, very pro. I believe for the most part they were very pro Kamala Harris, Warren, kind of in that camp. But here, a poll on Joe Biden: favorable 34%, unfavorable 56%. So again, you see here a historically unpopular candidate. This is, I mean, you could almost copy and paste the scenario from 2016 to now. The exact same thing that happened back then with Hillary Clinton. Lack of enthusiasm, high unfavorables. Same thing, Hillary Clinton, same thing with Joe Biden. Democrats are setting themselves up for a disaster. And the Reade allegation is, of course, a very important piece of that. But even before that, it was a disaster. And now even more so. So these videos are important, and this data is important because people need to understand, if there is a way to replace Joe Biden, then it has to be done, because that is really the only way Democrats can be confident going into November.